Well, hello. Happy New Year to you, and welcome to message one of our winter series called Making Sense Out of Life. Can you do a couple things with me? First, did you enjoy Marvin with us last weekend? Marvin Williams. I am so grateful. I'm so grateful that he was able to break away from his responsibilities in Lansing. He's had a 20-year relationship with Ada Bible Church, and so thankful that Marvin was able to open the scriptures last week and that you were able to benefit from his teaching. And also, we're kind of coming off, it's been a couple weeks, but we're coming off Christmas services. And we had different number of services at each campus. But my dear friends, we had almost 15,000 people come through our Christmas services at one building or another, something like 14,800. We could not have done this without those of you that threw down to watch our little kids, to get cookies set out, to greet people at the door, to clean the buildings between services. And so can we just do something? Can we just thank those who served at those services? You know, a lot of these are guests are individuals, attenders are individuals who worship at Ada Bible Church around the year, but a lot of times there's family members who are in town and who come to church, just once a year, other people who check in, who don't have another church home. So I'm just really, really grateful for the services we were able to have. And in addition to that, we had this Christmas project that we wanted to give what we said was a sizable gift toward an outside organization. And we talked about this foundation that's in the ground. It's on South Division Street. I think it's between Hall and Burton Street. And they want to turn that foundation into this building, Alpha Men's Center, which will be a center for mentoring dads and husbands in an urban context. It's a center for mentoring dads and husbands. And so they got this, foundation going. We wanted our ministry, Ada Bible Church, to be a significant part in helping them to take a huge leap forward in seeing that building come a reality. My friends, this coming week, we are going to be cutting a check for $250,000 to that organization to help that come about. Now, I don't know, that could be the largest single gift we've ever given at one time. And I just hope that there's a day when you're driving down South Division and you look over and you see this building that says Alpha Men's Center, and you go, we got to be part of that. I hope you have that moment. Now, a lot of those funds were taken out of extremely healthy December offerings, but also we have a missions budget, and we were able to pull a large amount too from our missions budget to give that amount that we will be giving to them this next week. So I'm just really, really excited about helping individuals in Grand Rapids and ministries do successful ministry. So there's a thank you in there. Thank you and God bless you as we get to bless them. And so now get to jump into this series on Ecclesiastes. It's called Making Sense Out of Life. And this series is just going to be 6 weeks, kind of a sampling from the Old Testament book of Ecclesiastes. But I wanted to begin today with a story I heard a few months back. It had to do with this guy right there. His name, he's obviously a professional baseball player, Atlanta Braves. His name is Ronald Acuna, Venezuelan player, and he did something. I think it was the first round of the playoffs, and the Braves were playing the Dodgers, and he hit a grand slam home run in the playoffs as a 20-year-old, which means that he is now the youngest player in baseball history to ever hit a grand slam home run in the playoffs. And he broke the record. This guy over here, a guy by the name of Mickey Mantle, who stopped playing in 1968, played for New York, phenomenal, outstanding career, something like 18 seasons or something like that. So in the locker room following the game, there's that press conference thing, and Braves lost the playoffs, but won that game because of his grand slam home run. A reporter comes up to him and asked him, do you realize that you just broke Mickey Mantle's record for the youngest player ever to hit a home run in the playoffs? And Acuna said, who? He said, I'm not familiar with that name. That was way before I was born. And it was. It was over half a century ago. This, my friends, is life. Ecclesiastes chapter 1, verse 11. No one remembers the former generations. And even those yet to come, grandchildren yet unborn, and even those yet to come will not be remembered by those who follow them. Well, welcome to Ecclesiastes, a chipper book. You're going, well, that depressing verse is probably surrounded by like all kinds of encouraging stuff. No, verse 2. This is how the book starts. One verse in. Meaningless, meaningless, says the teacher. Utterly meaningless, everything is meaningless. If your heart is looking for encouragement and you open your Bible randomly to Ecclesiastes and begin to read, close it, pray, and open it to something else. It's obvious here that the author is attempting to knock me off balance. The author is trying to unsettle me, to jar me, to grab me and shake me and to wake me up. Meaningless, meaningless, says the teacher, utterly meaningless. Everything is meaningless. This is how the conversation begins. To jar me, to shake me, to awaken me, to unsettle me. The only way this teacher can get me to recognize the lies I tell myself is to shake me and unsettle me. Two lies I tell myself. One, I'm gonna live forever. Second lie I tell myself, even if I don't live forever, I'm gonna do something so amazing and so outstanding that people are never going to forget me. And the teacher here steps in and says, hey, bud, you're going to die and people will forget you. So let's start there. I am going to die, hopefully not soon. And people will forget me. No, Jeff, no, your sermons will live forever in our hearts. No, see, that's the problem. It will, but you're gonna die too. And with the passing of you will be the passing of the memory of me. It's highly unlikely that 100 years from now, anyone will remember who I was. And so the teacher says, okay, let's begin here. Let me shake you. Let me jar you. Let me unsettle you. Because perhaps when we realize I will die and it's likely that I will be forgotten, maybe now I can get about the business of living because I'm not living in a dreamland. I'm not living believing lies. I'm seeing the truth for what it is. Maybe now I can receive each day as a blessed gift from God. But I gotta go through some unsettled space to get there. So chapter 1, verses 2 through 11, I kind of read through it and broke it down and find 4 unsettling truths. Amazingly enough, 4 unsettling truths that can help you live with greater joy. 4 disruptive, jarring, unsettling truths, but the end result, I think, is to cause us to live each day enjoying the gifts that God gives day after day after day after day. So unsettling gift number 1 has to do with the truth. Unsettling truth number 1 has to do with the truth about meaning. Unsettling truth number 1 has to do with meaning. And it's that verse we looked at, verse 2. Meaningless, meaningless, says the teacher. Utterly meaningless. Everything is meaningless. Now, I do not think the writer is here saying that nothing that you do has any value or of any worth. Those of you that are going, are you saying that parenting my preschooler is a meaningless, that helping people do their taxes, that serving as a doctor or a nurse or a grade school teacher, are you saying that that's meaningless? I don't think he's saying every activity is meaningless, but he's getting after something here that has to do with vapor. Now, the Hebrew word that is used there for meaningless, which is meaningless, meaningless. Everything is meaningless, utterly meaningless. This is a word that is used like 35 times in Ecclesiastes. So once you get past chapter 1, this baby keeps coming back up. Word meaningless is the Hebrew word hebel. And hebel is often translated mist, vapor, or breath. Got it? A mist, a vapor, a breath. Woman, it's early morning, it's January. It's Michigan in January. It's cold out. It's in the teens. She's running down a bike trail. And as she breathes, as she runs, she can see her breath. And it's there. And then it's gone. Some dude running down the bike trail 5 minutes later. I mean, maybe if there's fresh snow on the ground, maybe he sees the footprints. But that breath that she saw has dissipated. It's habel. It's vanished. It's a breath. It's a vapor. It's a mist. Same thing happens when you're about to make some tea. You put the tea kettle on the stove. You turn it up. You're in the other room for a while. All of a sudden, you hear this whistling in the background, and you go and you see the steam pouring out of the tea kettle. You turn the burner down and you see that steam was just so beautiful. I'm just going to reach over and find like a Tupperware container to bottle it. And it's gone. It's a vapor. It's a mist. It's breath. College campus. There's a pond at your college campus. Beautiful, beautiful fall day. It's just perfect that day for this beautiful mist to rise off the pond as you're walking to your first class in the morning. And you even see some ducks out on the pond. And you go, after my third class today, I'm going to run back and take my camera and capture this. And you go back at noon and it is gone, dissipated, a breath, a vapor, a mist. What the writer is talking about here is like there's something in life that you can't get your hands around, or if you get your hands around, it's fleeting, it's there, and it's gone. This is the word we have for meaningless. It's like it's there and it's gone. It's like a breath. It's like a vapor. It's hard to get our hands around. It's hard to get our mind around. Okay, a vapor, everything is a vapor. I believe what the teacher is pointing here is attempting to find infinite meaning in a temporary pleasure. I believe what the author's talking about here is attempting to find ultimate, infinite meaning and value in a very temporary pleasure. There's an author that some of you are familiar with. Her name is Anne Lamott. This is Anne Lamott's picture, written, award-winning author. She wrote this book sometime back. It's called Bird by Bird. And in her book, Bird by Bird, she just gives writing advice. If you desire to become a devoted, dedicated writer, she offers her advice. But throughout the book, she talks about sometimes the writing clinics that she does, where she's standing up and she's looking at writers who desperately want to get published. How can I find an agent? How can the agent get my manuscript to a publishing company? How can that lead to a contract? For that moment when they will finally be holding their published book. And she tries to warn them, getting your book published will not do it for you. Check out her words here. It will not make them well. Getting published will not make you well. It will not give them the feeling that the world has finally validated their parking tickets, that they have, in fact, finally arrived. Now, I've been through this process, writing process, publishing process, more than once. I've got to tell you, there is an intense satisfaction in moving a project from concept to actually holding something that sits on a bookstore shelf. And that wonderful feeling of satisfaction comes, and that wonderful feeling of satisfaction, any guesses where this is headed? And that wonderful feeling of satisfaction comes, and that wonderful feeling of satisfaction goes. Like a vapor, like a breath, like a mist. This is the first unsettling truth. The first unsettling truth has to do with meaning. Now, some of you are old like me and remember this movie. It's Chariots of Fire. Anyone remember the movie? Chariots of Fire, early 1980s, the 1924 Olympics, and it follows two runners. One runner is named Eric Liddell. The other runner is named Harold Abrams, and it follows both of their stories. Both of them are run for Great Britain. And there's this moment right before Harold Abrams is about to run, and he imagines his lane in the 100-yard dash. 4 feet wide, this corridor, this lane, where basically he tells his friend, my whole life is on the line right now. Listen to the quote from the movie. He says, now in 1 hour's time, I will be out there again. I will raise my eyes and look down that corridor 4 feet wide with 10 lonely seconds to justify my existence. I now have 10 lonely seconds where a gold medal will finally, to use Anna Lamott's terms, validate my parking ticket in life, justify my existence. And we look back and we go, dude, run with honor, run for your country. I highly doubt that that gold medal is going to do it for you for the rest of your life. It's a mist. It's a vapor. It's hard to get your hands around. Here's my plea. Whenever we pin our hopes on it, baby, whatever it happens to be, whether it is an achievement, whether it is a degree, whether it is a person, whether it is an upcoming vacation, and we go, listen, when I get that, then I will be whole. That will do it for me. It's like the writer of Ecclesiastes 3,000 years ago would be, oh man, think again. Here's the deal. For those of us that claim to be followers of Jesus, we would just say, dear Jesus, please prevent me from replacing God with the gifts that God gives. God gives the gift of a vacation. He gives the gift of work. He gives the gift of people. He gives the gift of creativity. The huge mistake is when we go, okay, God, really, I don't need you. I need that. I need it. And we take what should be legitimate, temporary pleasure, and we turn a gift of God into God. That's what I was trying to say. Refuse to replace God with the gifts of God. Receive the gifts from him, but they are not him. Refuse to replace God with the gifts of God. I think this is part of what this dude is after when he writes, meaningless, utterly meaningless, everything is meaningless. Man, if you're chasing after it, you will find that it is a vapor, it is a breath, it is a mist. Almost impossible to get your hands around, certainly not something that you will keep. Unsettling truth number one has to do with meaning. Unsettling truth number 2 has to do with monotony. Have you ever noticed that some days feel an awful lot like a lot of other days? You ever feel like you're Bill Murray caught in Groundhog Day? Parents of preschool children, where it's just around and around and around in this cycle of get them down to bed, get them up, get them fed, get them changed, laundry. And it's just like so many days are so much like so many other days. It is the unsettling truth of monotony. My friends, this is the way life is, not when it's lived badly. This is the way life is when it's lived well. There's just a ton of sameness that we experience. Verse 5 of this chapter, the writer says, listen, the sun rises and the sun sets and it hurries back to where it rises. You know, what's up with that? It's like day follows day follows day. The sun comes up, the sun goes down, nighttime, sun comes up, sun goes down, nighttime, sun comes up, sun comes down, nighttime, sun comes up. You don't have to be middle-aged to be disturbed by some of this. You can be a third grader and go, I get it. I wake up, I eat cereal, I go to school, I come home, I have to do some homework, I eat dinner, I go to bed, and then I wake up and do it all again. But there is this day, it's called graduation, where you are free to get a job, where you wake up and you make coffee and you take a shower and you go to work and you work at work and you come home and you eat dinner and you watch some TV and you go to bed and you wake up to do it all again. This idea, the sun rises, the sun sets, the sun rises, the sun sets. What the author is saying here is there's movement, but there's movement without arrival. There's this movement. There it goes. There it goes. It's a new day. It's a new day, but every new day feels so much like an old day. He doesn't stop with the sun. He moves now to the wind. It's the same point, different element. The wind blows to the south. It turns to the north. Round and round it goes, ever returning on its course. There's the wind. It blows. Where's it going? Around again. Here we go again. And it's this movement. Yes, the wind is blowing, but it's this movement without arrival. It's this movement without completion. It's this movement without, now I've got it. And he's turned from the sun to the wind, and now he turns to the streams. All streams flow into the sea, yet the sea is what? Last two words. The sea is never full. To the place the streams come from, there they return again. All streams flow to the sea, yet the sea is never full. Think about it. The Thornapple River is fed by streams, which flows with the Rogue River and the Flat River into the Grand River. And the river of grandness flows through the city of grandness. And there it goes, and there it has been traveling year after decade after century. All of that water moving where? Moving toward Grand Haven and dumping into Lake Michigan. My advice for you, never buy a house in Grand Haven. It will be flooded soon with all that water pouring into Lake Michigan. And year after year, the level of Lake Michigan drops a little, rises a little, drops a little, rises a little. These streams, these rivers, these grand rivers flow into the lake. And there it is. What are we watching? We're watching movement. We're watching perpetual movement. We're watching constant movement. But it is movement without arrival. It is movement without completion. Going like, why is this guy talking about how the river is never full? Because he wants me to understand that it's I who am never full. All things are wearisome, more than one can say. The eye never has enough of seeing, nor the ear its fill of hearing. One series is followed by the next series, which is followed by the next series. As the river flows through Grand Rapids to Lake Michigan, movies flow through my life. Restaurant experiences flow through my life. Trips flow through my life. Holidays flow through my life. And yet, I'm not full. It's like this movement, but it's movement without arrival. Unsettling truth number 2 has to do with monotony. Quick challenge for you. Enjoy the variety in the midst of the monotony. In the midst of this day after day after day after day existence that we live, there are these gifts that will come our way by the hundreds. Enjoy the variety within the monotony. So I wake up, take a shower, make coffee, go to work, come home, have dinner, go to sleep. But wait a second, you get coffee? Enjoy your coffee. A shower. I took a shower yesterday. It's not a hot shower, is it? A lavish gift that some around the world do not enjoy, a hot shower. And this dinner, I go home, go to work. Maybe there's a new project at work. Maybe there's a new challenge at work. Maybe there's a new person at work. Maybe there's a new person at work who is a new challenge at work. There's something new to enjoy. And I come home, and as I sit down to eat, dinner and then sleep. No, dinner. Maybe I have something to eat that I didn't have yesterday and that might not have tomorrow. God gives gifts of variety within the monotony. And then there's the ability to watch something on the television that does not erode too many brain cells or erode your soul. In the midst of this, okay, now we do it again. Round and round we go. Been there, done that. Back and forth, over and over. There are these gifts of variety. Yes, I know, winter seems to come to us every year. And yet the ability to enjoy this first snowfall that we experienced in November. I know, spring comes every year. It's cyclical. Yeah, but this is the first time the leaves will bud this April or May or June. What's it like to enjoy and to savor the beautiful variety that God, I know fall comes every year, fall, winter, spring. So, no. Enjoy the leaves of the maples once again in the state that you get to call home. There's monotony. It's a fact. It's a reality. It is an unsettling truth. Enjoy the good gifts that God sends as variety in the monotony. Unsettling truth number 2, monotony. Unsettling truth number 3 just has to do with novelty. I go, dude, what do I want? What do I want? What do I want? I just want things to feel new. I just want new experiences. I want new storylines. I hate things being old. I just want everything to be new. And the writer now goes, pardon the grammar, ain't nothing new. Prepare yourselves. What has been will be again. What has been done will be done again. There is, last sentence ready, there is, read it with me, nothing new under the sun. Just in case we didn't get the idea, the next verse, is there anything which a person can say, hey, look, this is something new. It was here already long ago. It was here before our time. Ain't nothing new. Now, the obvious reason that guy, some people think it was King Solomon of Israel. The reason he wrote that was because he obviously did not possess an iPhone XS Max. Dude, there's new technology all the time. We got air travel. We got computing technology. We're able to text, something our parents were unable to do. Some of you going, something my parents are unable to do. All right. But I think the point is here is it's just this new stuff, but it's new and then it's old and then it's gone. You're in a meeting, your phone rings. You're in a meeting, your phone rings. I'm so sorry. I got to get this. And you reach into your pocket and you pull out your Motorola Razr. What? How many of you owned a Motorola Razr? How many of you still own a Motorola Razr? Be careful to raise your hand, because personally they're going to go, dude, that belongs in a museum. And then they're going to look down the row and go, you belong in a museum. All right, so it's just something new. It's new, it's old, it's gone. It's new, I mean a 2004 Motorola Razr. Now, I happen to own an iPhone 6 Plus, which was new when it came out. 10 generations have come and gone. By the way, it's interesting. They call it a generation, the new generation of iPhone. You need the new generation of iPhone. This will be the best and latest thing for 27 minutes. It's a generation. And so they gave up on the numbers. There's iPhone 4, iPhone 5, iPhone 6, and iPhone X. Let's forget that it was just moved to the end of the alphabet, man. The iPhone X Max. I love this. It's new, it really is new. It's new, it's old, it's gone. It's new, it's old, it's gone. It's new, it's old, it's gone. Let me show you a statement that was made of a professional football stadium. The most magnificent football structure of its kind, the finest edifice of its type, known to mankind. Who said that? Oh, this guy, Howard Cosell. If you're going, who? That's the point of the sermon. What edifice did he say that of? The Pontiac Silverdome. Built in 1975, imploded in 2017. It's new, it's old, it's gone. It's new, it's old, it's gone. It's new, it's old, it's gone. Is there anything new? Yeah, for a second or two. Just as we talk about this, I don't think we should be hit with existential despair and depression. I think an appropriate response would be just appropriate humility. Just appropriate humility. After the coming of Jesus, you get the New Testament of the Bible. And in the New Testament of the Bible, there's the writer James, and he writes about those of you who say, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a trip. I'm going to go to that city over there. I'm going to work there for 1 year. I'm going to make a bunch of money, and then I'm going to come back. He goes, what? You don't even know what tomorrow is going to bring. You know, instead, you probably ought to say, if the Lord wills, I'm going to go off to the city and I'm going to work. I'm going to make a profit and I'm going to come back. And he says, don't you realize that your life is it's a vapor. A couple verses later, it's so strange. It feels out of context, but it's not. He ends up saying, listen, so this is the bottom line. Those of you who know to do good and are not doing it, now that's sin. He doesn't say those of you who know something's bad and do it anyway. He says, those of you who know to do good, you know that that's right. You know that it would help that person. You know that it would encourage him, and you don't do it. Listen, that's anti-God. And like, how did that get in there in this misty conversation? And it's the humility to go, I don't know what tomorrow's gonna bring. Hey, mister, I am the master of the universe. Just realize you're not. And ask, seeing that I'm not, who are the very real of people around me? Whose lives I have the ability to build into and enrich. If you see good opportunities, babies, do it. That's God-ish. That's godlike. Novelty, new. I want everything new. Well, it's new, and then it's old, and it's gone. And I'm new, and then I'm old, and then I'm gone. But at least people will remember me. Yeah, don't count on that either. Unsettling truth number 4 has to do with memory. Now listen, this has nothing to do with your ability to do something outstanding. This is people's ability to remember that you did something outstanding. No one's questioning your capability as a hardworking achiever. What's called into questions here is about people's ability to remember your achievement. So this is where we come to verse 11, where it says, no one remembers the former generations or even those yet to come, those yet unborn, will not be remembered by those who follow them. You will live, you will work, you will age, you will die, and you will be forgotten. Well, no, not if you do something really, really awesome. Rio Olympics, 2016. A couple summers ago. Give me 10 gold medal winners from the Rio Olympics. You can work together. Oh, I got one. Michael Phelps. Yes. What was that, like 4'8" gymnast? What was her name, right? Simone Biles, right here. Oh, how about the Jamaican sprinter? Usain Bolt. Okay, there's 3. Shot put, discus, high jump, pole vault, javelin, marathon, badminton. The world's most dominant athletes on the world's largest stage, standing on the podium that they have worked for years pushing themselves to arrive at. And I got 3. You say, well, Jeff, that's because that's sports history. I'm not into sports history. I'm just into history. Awesome. You know who this guy is? You know who this guy is? You know who this guy is? Those gentlemen are President of the United States, Warren Harding, President of the United States, Calvin Coolidge, President of the United States, Herbert Hoover, within the last 100 years. Now, here's the crazy. 100 years from now, some preacher is going to be standing in front of his congregation, talking from the book of Ecclesiastes, and he's going to show pictures of Richard Nixon, Jimmy Carter. Whoever followed you. Richard Nixon, Gerald Ford, and Jimmy Carter. And he's going to be looking at a group going, now, this has nothing to do with our ability to achieve. It has to do with people's capability to remember. You know, you can influence certain things in life. You control certain things in life. We are highly incapable of controlling how people will remember us long after we're gone. And you go, well, dude, I'm into the creative arts, not into U.S. history. Can you name 5 Academy Award best actors from the 1950s? Generations come, generations go. You think this, when this started to sink on me, and when I started to do a deep dive into Ecclesiastes, and I started to ask the writer, like King Solomon, if that started going, what are you doing to me? The answer is, I'm setting you free. If my primary goal in life is to make a name for myself, I will make a name for myself. The writer stepping forward and saying, you won't. Not for long. Oh, what do you mean? Be born, serve, die, and be forgotten? Yes. What are you going to do with that? My friends, it frees you to love and serve the real people around you without having to worry about making a name for yourself, which probably will not happen, at least like 100 years from now. The craziness is that the opening words of Ecclesiastes are jarring. It's like the author is trying to knock me off balance. They're unsettling. It's like he grabs me and he starts to shake me. And I say, what are you after? I think one of the words would be joy. As crazy as it is, this idea of joy occurs in Ecclesiastes over and over and over and over. But it's not the joy of getting that one thing we think will do it for us. It's the enjoyment of God's daily gifts that bombard our lives by the hundreds and by the thousands. You don't get this in chapter 1, but if you skip ahead to chapter 5, this is what you see. Moreover, when God gives someone wealth and possessions and the ability to enjoy them, to accept their lot, and to be happy in their toil, this is what? This is, baby, this is a gift from God. Variety within the monotony. This is a gift from God. You have the money to buy food. Yes, enjoy this. You have work to do. You have vocation. Yes, enjoy this. But do not wreck it by trading God in for his gifts. No, out of the way. I don't need you. I need that. And that, my friend, is meaningless. It's here, it's gone. Refuse to turn temporary satisfactions and try to milk out of them ultimate meaning, infinite meaning that they simply were not built to give. So let's go back to Anne Lamott, that woman who wrote that book, Bird by Bird, where she's looking at her students and she's saying, listen, you all want to get published. Do not think that in publishing, finally, your cosmic parking ticket will be validated, and finally now you are enough. It won't do it for you. But instead, she says this. She says, but I also tell them that sometimes when my writer friends are working, they feel better and more alive than they do at any other time. What she's encouraging them here is to receive God's gift of the process of writing without staking their life and meaning on a product of their writing. Same deal when we go back to Chariots of Fire. I think it's 1981, early 80s. Two runners, I said, Harold Abrams, who said, I have 10 seconds. Looking down a 4-foot wide corridor, I have 10 seconds to justify my existence. Gold medal winner in the 1924 Olympics. The other runner the movie followed is also an award-winning, gold medal award-winning runner. His name was Eric Liddell. And in the movie, he says this. He says, I believe God made me for a purpose, but he also made me fast. And when I run, I feel his pleasure. I love that. It's not just the medal and standing on the podium. When I run, the process of running, not just the product of a gold medal. When I run, I feel his pleasure. This is where my heart goes out to you. I would just love for there to be hundreds and hundreds of people to say, when I help people do their taxes, I feel his pleasure. When I wait on tables, when I serve tables, I feel God's pleasure. As I heard fourth graders in a classroom, I feel his pleasure. As I work the corridors of a hospital, I feel his pleasure. As I preach, I feel his pleasure. As I wash clothes and fold clothes, I feel his pleasure. This is a gift. It's a gift that gets ruined when I pin all of my hopes on some achievement, some trip, something. And I turn this temporary enjoyment, and when I try to quench a permanent thirst with a temporary enjoyment. And so my challenge to you today is simply this: enjoy his gifts. Enjoy his gifts and feel the pleasure of your Creator. Gracious God, I give thanks that we were in this space today, that we were able to be in your presence and each other's company to absorb these words from long ago. Use them with power in our lives to mold us, to shape us, to transform us into the people you created us to be. We ask this in the name of Jesus, who came here for us. Amen. Hey, we'll see you next week.